Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother Isa Abu Isa, and we're here for another episode of the Night Shift, which we have came up with this program to defend Islam from cult characteristics, Hadadiyya, Hizbiyya, and defend the honor of the Muslims. And before we begin, I would like to make dua for our brothers, mashallah, that they did this 3-day lecture in the service of the Sunnah and Salafiyyah. Our brother Hasumali and the rest of them. Alhamdulillah, this is what they did. And whatever good came from it, may Allah give them Jannah for it. Whatever mistakes they made, may Allah overlook those mistakes and forgive them for it. Allahumma ameen.
Naam, inshallah ta'ala, we are on the eve of the end of the blessed days of Ayyam Tashriq. So we'd like to be thankful and grateful to Allah Jalla wa Ala to allow us to celebrate our Eid, bi'ithnillah. And tonight, inshallah ta'ala, we will be discussing the mental state of our brother Hamza Abdur. And remember, this is not a medical assessment, but this is more so an Islamic one. This is not a medical assessment. We are not doctors, but this is more so an Islamic one in terms of Islamic etiquettes and the proper adab that one should have when speaking about his brothers or towards his brothers and so forth and so on.
This is what you need to get Islam. This is what you need to get the blame worship. This is what you need to get the whole army. That's daddy. He made it. Bring it. We want it. Everybody still waiting? We've been making for years with Fire. We studs when we had to put one out. We've been making over a decade now. Rather, your father, he went to them again and didn't talk with them until he was there and God praised them. He said, thank you for that which is of the light of the spirit of unity with us. That's what Farrakhan, the son of his own mouth. You didn't make no distinction between hot and bomb when you gave that lecture. You generalized just like you generalized in that stupid clip you put out last month. Because you ain't say no names on that clip. Why you generalizing? What does you guys say to me about generalizing? What did he say? Everybody knows the voice. I never could tafsiri, بياني ثاني الانطلاق والإجمال والبياني قد أفسد الوجود وحقق الآراء الأذهان في كل زمان. So you have to give details and clarification. Your speech always is the truth. It can never be muhtamil. As-Sunnah, there's a methodology that you know, if I have the book I will read Declaration of Islam, it says As-Sunni Salafi, never generalize, where it speak to be utilized by the people the truth and the people false. That's the methodology that you know. He says when the Prophet used to speak, when the Sahabi used to speak, they always uttered words that will always aid the truth, always, making it clear and distinct. Never generalize. When you speak to be muhtamil. You can necessitate this or you can necessitate that. He said in the poetry, you have to give details and you have to make the speech clear. He said for various generalizations, have corrupted this existence and has destroyed the opinions and the minds of every time. See, likewise, with the person up in Muhammad, up in New York, generalized again. These people, they always talk about how we're not brave. You tell those idiots to be the same you're talking about. But you think stay generalized. Don't let this speech in this scholar doesn't like he doesn't care about you. Say what you're talking about, Mr. Brave Man. Don't generalize. What scholar doesn't care about us and our people? Who? That's what I'm saying here in Philadelphia. When people quote this nonsense, if you know that he's not bold enough to say the name, don't even waste your time. What does scholar doesn't care about you and your people? Doesn't if he drinks his coffee in the day, he doesn't listen in the morning time, worrying about and he tries to use something about what goes on with the community, the societies here, for the one-parent homes, and the people who are drugs, just to make the speech do something. Use the last part to code it up. But I'm asking right now, what's the style he's talking about? He generalized what he did. Okay, I'll scholarship there. Those people, now y'all claim y'all so-called brave and bold, y'all don't give your names. What you talking about?
I mean,
Fire why generalized, they got Communal generalized. All these generalizations, if you're not what you say, you talk about love is too much time. The child. What are you talking about? If you know they know what they think the name is this. Because you know who you're talking about. You just waiting for you to say it. You those who are waiting for you to say it. When he says those more like it, in their circles behind closed doors, of course, you know they very frank. Like little punks behind the walls. All of a sudden, when you're in front of the people, that's not all because of that's out there. You know, those guys you can benefit from. You don't have that for anybody.
Also, how do people accept this type of behavior too?
You understand, everyone? So like I said, all this is nonsense about sin, the other things they try to bring on their shows and all this, try to talk about the dreams of people, the dreams, or the sins of people, and all these other things. Always have to look at the scholastic-based criticism of the people of the past and of today, compared to their speech. How do they criticize? I don't want to hear feelings about this persecution, and I don't want to hear that. Go to Shepherd here right now. None of them are going to ask my listen. I think that's why I want to let those get to religion. That's more important. Even sit to the side. What did they oppose in the religion? Nobody else trying to hear this thing. About what fights took place, my family to visit your family, your wife didn't call my wife back, and all that other nonsense. I mean, that's a little bully. You want to know what do they do as far as the religion. So you'll notice that in the refutation of Abi Davis, majority of the nonsense that he brought on the refutation, because I didn't have time, I wasn't going to refute it because Roger was busy, because I seen it and I laughed at it. The majority of them are personal points. They're all personal issues. Majority of personal issues. You know, personal issues. You live in a refutation? Are you serious? No iron have you. No iron have you and a bunch of personal issues. And a bunch of personal issues, right? Majority of personal. So that's what I'm saying. You should take the personal issue. The majority of refutation is nullified. It's not all of them. So those who understand the methodologies of Salafiyyah, who truly are deep-rooted in the Razaaq, inshallah, know that their reputation is baseless because you brought a bunch of personal issues. When no hadith and no ayah. When no hadith and no ayah. So that's what I'm saying, brother. These people, such as Ali Davis and all other knuckleheads, these people have not read the book to be done or people are done to be talked about, they can talk about. There's a went through it from the life of Triple Base, Triple Hamzah, and Sudan and Kubra, or it was Surah, the Improper, that teaches you the methodologies of Salafiyyah. It truly teaches you the books of Salafiyyah, how the principles, that if the people was to study it, they would know that these waves that come upon our city, they wouldn't be shooken up. Such as the books of Sudan, the Surah, the Improper, just teaches you methodology of the books of Sharia and Jury. Like we said, of the Surah al-Nakari. Those books teaches you the leadership. So when these people come with these type of that were decorated.
Naam, alhamdulillah. We're going to read some statements from the ulama and just assessing and understanding some of the things that our brother Hamza Abdur Razaaq and his style, his presentation, his manner, his etiquette, along with his opponents, those whom he deemed to not be upon the correct way, or those whom he deemed who fell into an error or made a mistake, is still a certain etiquette and a certain manners that you must have in even addressing them and dealing with them. So we've seen from his talk words such as he used stupid when referring to one of the speeches of Sheikh Tahir Wyatt. Also he called Muhammad Munir as well as Sheikh Tahir Wyatt idiots, and he called them cowards. And he laughed at the words of Ali Davis, which I believe, and anyone who read the 25 or 26 page article that was directed towards our brother Jamil Finch from Ali Davis to him, which wasn't a refutation. Actually, if you read the article, he never was refuting Jamil Finch. It literally was more so an advice, and he was asking legitimate and concerned questions pertaining to which he should concentrate or what they should concentrate more in teaching. So I don't think it was a refutation. The fact that he laughed at that as someone's advice to another brother, I don't know where that's at, where that can be found. Also calling them knuckleheads. And we'll get to another issue that he mentioned about certain books to the lay people, which we don't know no scholars who recommend those books should be taught to the lay people at all, especially those who don't even know Arabic or even know the basics understanding of the Aqidah to Islamiyyah, the Islamic Aqidah creed or basics of 5 pillars or the 6 articles and things like that.
So before we begin, we just, again, what we want to try to pay attention to, we're not going to, like I said, we're never going to get into the back and forth or the slander stuff or talking about people personally and things like that, because that's not our way. It's not the way of the manhaj of the Salaf. What we're going to do tonight, we're just going to show you that the behavior of our brothers is not the behavior of the Salaf. We're dealing with others, whether they kuffar, mubtadi'een, whether other Ahlul Sunnah, whether other human beings or whatever, the behavior you should have. And the behavior of these brothers is not the correct behavior. No matter what they say, their behavior does not coincide with the manhaj of the Salaf.
Inshallah ta'ala. Sheikh Muhammad Bazmur, Hafidhahullah, he mentioned in a little small clip, he mentioned that it is not from the Sunnah, meaning rejoicing. What is not from the Sunnah? He said, Laysa min as-Sunnah. So what is not from the Sunnah? He said, 1, rejoicing at the mistakes of your brothers. Okay, so if Hamza Abdur Razaaq believed that Ali Davis have made a mistake in what he considered to be a poor attempt of a refutation against his brother, then 1, he should not rejoice. And a sign of rejoicing we know is what? Being delighted. Being delighted is a characteristic that is laughing. Laughing at such. We shouldn't do that. He said vilifying them and then causing problems for them. So now, not only are you belittling them and talking about them in a harsh manner, but you're causing problems for them amongst other individuals. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Hayy. Al-Hayyu, one who does not like to be, Allah Jalla is Al-Hayy, meaning one who does not like to expose the sins. If Allah Jalla wa'ala don't like to expose the sins of his servants, how much more so should the servant not like to expose the sins of his brother? How much even more so the servant don't even like his own sins to be exposed. So he said, and he is the satir, the one who conceals. And he loves for the sins of the people to be concealed. Even Allah Azza wa Jal love for the sins of his people to be concealed. As Allah Jalla wa Ala said, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, indeed Allah is gentle and he loves gentleness in all of the affairs. Rather I fear, the Shaykh continued, that this will be from showing the light at the misfortune of your brother. Did you not hear the wise statement? Do not show the light at the sins of your brother, such that Allah has mercy upon him and afflicts you. In other words, that which you're laughing at, it can be in the case that what can happen? That Allah Jalla wa Ala can reverse the situation and cause you the one to be laughed at.
Well, I mean, you clearly see from our brother Hamza, may Allah preserve him, and other than him from those particular group of brothers, that when they talk about other people, the whole lecture actually was just talking about people. So, and slandering them and talking evil about them and saying bad words about them. So at the end of the day, do you really want good for that person? Because like Sheikh Fawzan said, even if you're talking about jar on somebody, it's in the way of advice. So you actually only doing that so the person can understand what you're saying and can leave the mistake and come back to the good. But laughing at them, calling them knuckleheads, calling them stupid, calling them fools, calling them jahil, calling them out of their name, how does that get a B? How does vinegar get a B? Right. This is not from the way of the Salaf.
We want to clarify something. We're not going to say that the whole entire lecture that they have gave in these 3 days was totally of no benefit. I'm not going to say that. Sheikh Hassan al-Banna, I want to clarify, Sheikh Hassan al-Banna talk was beautiful. And may Allah Jalla Ala reward the Sheikh for his connection and for his advice and for what he's talking. Sheikh Talib Abdullah as well, his talk was beneficial. I believe that it's very rewarding. As far as our other brothers, they spoke, and they haven't mentioned any names, and they had style, such as our brother Jamil Finch, as well as Abu Hassan Malik, as well as Musa Richardson. In terms of saying that's just being fair, again, we want to have insaf. So we don't want to make this like this in a personal attack from us to them. So we want to say that the whole entire lecture was void of benefit. There was ayats that was mentioned, there was hadith that was mentioned, there were beneficial statements from the ulama that was mentioned. So we want to take that consideration and make that to be clear. Barakallahu fiqh. Also, the Shaykh continues. He said, it is not from the sunnah. Again now, notice how he's saying, laysa min as-sunnah. It is not from the sunnah to have gulu. Now gulu, brothers and sisters, is called exaggeration. In loving certain personalities. Okay? In loving certain personalities. Whatever their status may be. Meaning whatever status that they may occupy, whether they be from the highest status, they might be scholars. I mean, the highest status is prophets and messengers. Or whether they be scholars, or whether they be students of knowledge, or whether they be in any field that you should not go gulu in your love for them. Alright? He says, do you not see the messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he is the messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is Islamically legislated to love him. Yet despite this, he had forbade them from exaggerating his love. He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do not praise me as the Christians praise the son of Mary. Indeed, I am a worship of Allah, so say the worship of Allah and his messenger. Here the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is what? Teaching his companions and his ummah. His companions are those emissaries who carried it to the ummah. Is teaching them how to have balance in their love. It reminds me of a narration of the Prophet ﷺ where he mentioned, it was said that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that Jibreel alayhi salam came to him and said, love whom you want to love, O Muhammad, right? But love him moderately, because it may be one day that you might, or vice versa, hate a person, hate him moderately.
You have to love him.
An example of that can be is when you look at the case of, and look at a lot of the different other Sahabas who were fighting, Sufyan's wife, who were fighting against the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ made dua against them, especially Sufyan. He made dua. However, Allah didn't answer that dua, but the dua that Allah Jalla wa Ala, because Allah knew that he was going to accept Islam. He was going to grant Sufyan a chance to accept Islam. And when Sufyan accepted Islam, what did he do? What did he do? He became from the best supporters and defenders of the Prophet ﷺ. Another point about Sufyan, even when Sufyan was questioned by Herakli, right? When he was questioned by him, what did he say? Even even though he had insolved, that was his enemy.
He still was honorable.
Here we don't see this from our brother Hamza. Even if you don't like Tahir White, you think that he made an error, or you think that he's a person that's behind the scenes and a person that that's more sympathetic towards people of bid'ah. Even if you don't like Muhammad Munir, even if you don't like Ali Davis, you still should have insaf. You still should be what? Have justice. Be fair. Inshallah ta'ala. The Shaykh continues. He says, Ibn Abbas, radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, said the Messenger of Allah sallallahu said on the morning of Al-Aqabah, while he was riding his animal, collect some small pebbles for me. So I collected small pebbles for him, which were like chickpeas. And when I placed them in his palm, he said, chickpeas, F1, barakallahu fiqh. He said, only use the likes of these when stoning the pillar of Aqabah. O people, beware of exaggerating in the religion. Those who came before you were only destroyed due to exaggerating in the religion. So exaggeration, meaning gulu, and something and being severe regarding it by exceeding its limits. From its meaning is going too deep into something. I'm going to give you an example when you go too deep in anything. Like, far as he's saying, exaggeration. That could be in anything, whether that be in refutations, whether that be in over praising someone, personality. I'm going to show you. Musa Richardson, in his, what he presumed, and we're not saying that, that it isn't. We're just meaning that, and what he believed was a scholarly based, knowledge-based refutation of Muhammad ibn Munir. He mentioned a statement that said that Muhammad Munir has layers upon layers of contempt for the scholars. All right. Now, in his, and I want to show you this is a form of exaggeration here. In his refutation or critique of Muhammad ibn Munir's statement about the scholars not caring for the people in the West, he went so far to delve in an issue that's the matter of the hearts. One, he couldn't prove the fact that Muhammad had, that there was layers upon layers of content.
No.
He couldn't prove that. Nor did he take the time out to prove that through his earlier works. Mm-hmm. Secondly, he couldn't look inside his heart to see if that really was the case.
Prove it.
That's, and it shows you when you go extreme, you want to try to be just in your refutation. Tell you. Continuing. He said here, so the hadith is clear in prohibiting ghulu in the religion. The correct methodology of the religion and this path is tolerance, ease, and leaving off harshness within the boundaries that are set by the Sharia. In the hadith are other benefits. It focuses on a very dangerous matter. Ghulu in the religion is from the causes of destructions of the nations that came before us. So be moderate. Be moderate. Your hatred of innovation should not be so much so that you hate the person and you don't want that person to retract.
No, exactly. And we clearly see that, and from their behavior, they don't want the people to retract. Even if it was what they perceive to be mistakes, they don't want the people to come up off of it. You know what I'm saying? So they, so that's what that is. And
first and foremost, this is not what Sheikh Muhammad Bazmul is saying. Again, brothers and sisters, refutation is something that can be praiseworthy. Reputation also can be something that can be dispraiseworthy. And then there's a time where refutation is permissible. In any event, you should be from those who can author refutations. You should be saying no. Exaggerated when you're refuting your opponent. Tayyib, moving on. He said also, from the benefits of this hadith is the great importance of commanding good and forbidding evil. From the greatness of both of these matters is leaving off extreme exaggeration in regarding them. He brings another point. You want to read it?
It is not from the sunnah using an approach of insults, disgrace, and curses and refutations. He says, never was the Prophet ﷺ lewd, obscene, or noisy in the marketplaces. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, says, so by mercy from Allah, O Muhammad, you were lenient with them. And if you had been rude in speech and harsh in heart, they would have disbanded from about you. So pardon them and ask forgiveness for them and consult them in the matter. And when you have decided, then rely upon Allah. Indeed, Allah loves those who rely upon Him.
Now, brothers and sisters, we all know that we're supposed to take the Prophet ﷺ as an example. So from the highlighting points of this verse, we see that Allah Azza wa Jal is highlighting to us that not being harshness, that being lenient and having tolerance is from good character.
Mm-hmm.
This is Allah praising the Prophet ﷺ, and also showing you how a community is going to interact with you and how their love and affection going to be for you when you don't have these traits, when you don't possess these traits. See, you understand that? So when you be harsh, and anyone notice, when you harsh towards your family, say for example, a husband harsh towards his wife, or his wife harsh towards her husband, or towards the children, you can see a certain distance that begins to happen.
Yeah, exactly, you can see. I mean, then on top of that, when we say the Prophet wasn't lewd, to call somebody a knucklehead is lewd, to call somebody an idiot is lewd, to call somebody out of their name is lewd.
Cowards.
Obscene, loud. A lot of stuff is just entertainment, and the people get caught up in a lot of entertainment. And then on top of that, we see that the people are not being nurtured upon good behavior because they actually accepted that behavior from their brother and was laughing with him.
Now I'm going to say this, and it's going to appear harsh, but it's not going to be harsh, it's going to be fair. What I mean by what I'm getting ready to say, our brother Hamza, for those who don't know, Hamza Abdur Razaaq, he is very diligent. We consider him to be from amongst the students of knowledge. Okay? He is very diligent and keen from what he told me personally, and also what I've heard of him when he was going down there in Virginia to the North Fork Fairfax.
Mm-hmm.
When he was down there, I was told that he was a brother that was always, you can always catch him with a mushaf in his hand, always reading the Quran. Mm-hmm. And he memorized a large portion of the Quran before Allah bless him to be accepted in Medina. Mm-hmm. He also graduated from the Kulliyah to Hadith, the Kulliyah to Hadith, the College of Hadith. And he also benefited from the mashaykhs and went over several books with some of the different mashaykhs that he told me personally. Now, this is going to appear harsh. So now I'm going to say this to Hamza Abdur Razaaq. You, brother, the reason why we say in the mental state, because as a student of knowledge, there are certain requirements and obligations from the etiquettes and manners that you must have. And when you leave that realm, and when you leave that off, then we have to remind you sternly that you have what? Went outside those borders. So Hamza Razaaq, you know better. Hamza Razaaq, you know better. Hamza Razaaq, you know better. And the Shaykh, he continue. You want to read it? No. The next part.
And the Shaykh goes on and he continues. Excuse me, gotta bring it back up. Sorry about that. He said, it is not from the Sunnah to have disregard for the people, to be suspicious of them, cause trouble and harass them. Rather, the Muslim should possess the characteristics of the slaves of the merciful. He should not put others down or to seek revenge for himself. If he is harassed or troubled by others, Allah the Blessed, the Most High said, the servants of the Most Merciful are those who walk upon the earth easily, and when the ignorant address them harshly, they say words of peace.
Allahu Akbar. So you see the point Sheikh Muhammad Bazmul is pulling out? He said to have disregard for the people, to be suspicious of them. And you know Allah Jalla wa Ala says in the Quran that rarely that rarely some suspicion or sin. So having bad thought about your brother or your sister and so forth, we already know the Prophet ﷺ said, Iyaka wa dhann, be aware of having what? Bad suspicions, things that you cannot prove. And this is something that all of us, we ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to cure from our hearts and remove from our hearts this illnesses. Even when we do it amongst each other with our spouses, when we do it amongst each other with our, our friends, and we think they're doing something wrong. At any rate, you don't want to have disregard for the people, cause trouble and harass them. Rather, the Muslim should possess the characteristics of the servants of the merciful. This is what the Shaykh is saying. What are the characteristics of the servants of the merciful?
Yeah.
Look what you've been. Look at the attribute of Allah. Ar-Rahman, Ibadur Rahman.
Yeah.
So wa Ibadur Rahman alladhina yamshuna fil ardi hawna.
Yeah.
They're really the servants of the Ar-Rahman, the one who has mercy. And the scholars, they said that one of the meanings of Ar-Rahman is that this Rahmah is extensive for both the non-believer and the believer. Not Rahim. Ar-Rahim is specific only for the believers.
In the hereafter, no.
But here, Ar-Rahman, as the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah has 100 parts of what?
Mercy.
Rahmi, mercy. Right? And he left one portion for the earth.
Yep.
Right? Also, the Prophet ﷺ said what? Whoever does not have mercy for what? The people on earth, the one in the heavens doesn't have mercy for him. It's too many ayats and it's too many ahadith and it's too many characteristics showing to have mercy. Also, the Prophet ﷺ, what was he known as? Rahmatul lil alameen. He was known as a mercy to all of creation. How much more so? How much more so it is in terms of us having mercy towards one another.
Exactly. And I'm supposed to have this mercy with a cat, with a donkey, with a mushrik, with a disbeliever. But with the brothers, you slander and you back, but you get on there and you say all these different names. Is that the characteristics of somebody that's a slave of the most merciful? Is it?
Tell you, it is not from the Sunnah insulting people's lineage, being by using nicknames, broadcasting people's sins of evil, being proud of what it is, and so is such. Rather, every Muslim pay attention to the goodness and calling people to it. Ask Allah Jalla wa Ala for the guidance. Different people, characteristics or personal situations that happen. They said that we didn't advise them or stop them from doing it. Yes, one, we didn't. Okay, we did not advise them as we should have advised them. Either that could have been one, we wasn't paying attention. Two, we didn't advise them not to stop, to cut him off. And three, how did you know that we didn't advise him after the video? How did you know that? If so, how do you know that? So in order to understand all of this stuff, you got to be careful. Now, talking about someone's sins, someone's lineage, someone, the way that they speak, the way that they read, or the way that they walk, the clothes that they wear. All of these things we got to be careful of, because in the surah that deal with the brotherhood, which is known as Surah Hujurat, Surah 49, Allah Jalla wa Ala mentions something very carefully. He said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la yaskaru. Okay, he said, oh, you who believe, do not let one group of people, meaning from the believers, scoff another, laugh, belittle, okay, what? Of another group of people. Why? Because it can be perhaps the one that you're laughing at can be better
Than the one who's laughing.
than the one who's laughing. You want to be careful with that. Tayyib. He goes on. It is not from the minhaj of the Salaf
That in every instance, comment, and situation you announce your love for a particular person from the Imams of the Sunnah. We do not know this to be from their way. Allah is the one who gives tawfiq.
An example of this is always mention your scholar. Always mention the stance of your scholar. Wallahi, we love Sheikh Rabi'. Wallahi, we love Sheikh Muhammad bin Hadi. As our brother Hamza so eloquently put it, he told the lay people in this clip that they should study the following books. And I want you to pay attention here. He told them to study Ibana. All right, Al-Kubra, to study this book because it deals with the minhaj of Salaf. Number one, he told them to study Sharh Layla Ka'i. This is a this book's of volumes, brothers and sisters. Right? Also, he told them to study the Maqasid al-Shar'iyyah by Imam al-Ajuri. Now, first and foremost, most of the people that was in the lecture, and we're not saying we know what's in people's heart or what's their levels, but majority of the lay people don't even understand the basics.
No.
Haven't even graduated from the basics, let alone to begin to study books that are for scholars.
No.
Books that are for students of knowledge that Allah blessed them to have some study and some understanding, some knowledge to even go into these books.
Exactly.
How can they study them? He also said, Hamza said, that he advised them to study the refutations of Sheikh Rabi' against Ma'rabi. To study the refutations, again, I'm going to say this, the refutations of Sheikh Rabi' against Ma'rabi. Now, let's think about this. Study the refutations. Not study the book of Allah. Not study the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not study with the basic things of the five pillars of Islam.
I don't think anybody in that crowd, for the most part, Allah knows best, even knows who Ma'rabi is. But they wouldn't. If they heard his voice, they wouldn't know what his voice was. If they heard a book that he authored, they wouldn't know who the author was. Most of our people don't even know who he is. The guys coming back made him famous amongst certain people. He got famous by name, but we're not affected by him.
Well, if y'all didn't hear it, the brother, when he first started off, he tried to, well, I'm not going to say he tried, but that's what they believe. They believe that when we talk like this and make statements like this, they're saying that this is creating doubts in the minds of the people, because they're saying in actuality, this is the principle, and this is from the speech of Al-Ma'rabi.
No.
However, that's not our argument here. That's not what we're going to talk about. We want to talk about the mental state from an Islamic point of our brother Hamza Razaaq. And what we mean by mental state here, how can you, as a student of knowledge, overlook the proper adab, mannerism, when talking about your brothers or towards your brothers, especially when they're not even present? Now, for those who want to say that our brothers our brother Abdur, Muhammad Munir, when he was speaking to, when he was critiquing, scholarly-based critique, which I believe, in my humble estimation, did Munir, is he perfect? No. So when he used the word Mark, which is the real name of our brother, Musa, and when he used the word Moses instead of Musa, okay, you can say that here, this seems a little bit personal. All right, you can say, but he's human. So you can actually about the here, take that. Overall, if you look at what he was highlighting, the things that he was bringing, anyone with fair mind can see that point, and we're not taking. We just. Okay, we're not saying that, okay, he shouldn't have said that or he shouldn't have said this. Just be just, inshallah. Tayyib, the Shaykh continues, and we get right, this is the end of it. He said, it's not from the minhaj of the Salaf that you insult the people of innovation. I want to say this 3 times here. That is not, right, not from the minhaj of the Salaf that you insult the people of innovation. Not the people out of the Sunnah now. We're talking about the people of innovation. It is not from the minhaj of the Salaf that you insult the people of innovation. Brothers and sisters, we don't insult the people of innovation. We don't call them out of their names. They are people of innovation, innovating in the deen of Allah.
No.
But we don't call them out their names.
Who the ruling was placed upon them by Ahl al-Ilm, not by you.
And the people of falsehood in every instance and situation. Meaning we don't take every opportunity to speak in a vile manner or despicable manner about the people of bid'ah. This don't mean that you hate bid'ah. When you always hear people always screaming from the top of their lungs, the bid'ah this and this despicable and this vile, corrupted, imbecile, this is called beef. When you hear people speak always like this, they be the furthest from really refuting innovation. They be the furthest from really refuting innovation. Why? Because the best way you can refute innovation, as the ulama explained, one of the best ways you can do it is by implementing the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. By implementing the sunnah of the Prophet wasallam. In terms of you implementing the sunnah, what are you doing?
No.
You're refuting bid'ah. You are refuting innovation in terms of implementing the sunnah. Because if you walk how Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam walked, and I'm not talking about in a literal sense, and if you talk like how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam talked, not in a literal sense, but meaning you use his words, you stick to his commands, you stick to his prohibitions, you stay away from those prohibitions, you do the things that he told you to do. In turn, you are actually doing what?
Yeah.
You are propagating the sunnah, and you are at the same time eradicating the bid'ah. You're showing the people the correct way that the Prophet ﷺ behaved. It's not all this speech streaming out the top of your lungs that you hate bid'ah. Hating bid'ah have actions and certain requirements that shows it. The Sheikh says at the end, he said that you vilified them without any reason justifying it. I'm just going to talk about Ahlul Bid'ah because they Ahlul Bid'ah. I hate the Christians because they're just the Christians.
Yeah.
Not knowing that most of us came from Christianity. Waliyadu billah. I hate the Christians just because they're Christians.
I mean, would you get up if you was giving a lecture about the falsehood of Christianity, would you get up there and say the Christians are dogs, low-lives, scumbags, knuckleheads? Would you do that? Think about that. Would you give a talk about the disbelievers and about their Aqidah? Would you get up there and call them out of their names the whole lecture and call them knuckleheads and fools and idiots? Would you? You wouldn't. Because that's not the correct way to get dawah. They wouldn't listen to you if you did that. So how about your brothers?
I'm going to take it back because people keep mentioning the redud of the Quran. Show me once in the Quran that Allah talked like that about the people he was refuting. I'll wait. Show me one ayat in the Quran where Allah Jalla wa Ala talked about the people in that manner.
Yep.
Even though what they were doing was despicable. Yes, you could say he called them dhalimeen. That was true in every sense of the word.
Of creation.
Or yes, he called them the worst of the creation. That is true in every sense of the word. Yes, he called them. What else did Allah Jalla call them? But did he call them out of their names despicable? Huh? Or did he not say when you talking to the people of when you talk to people of Ahlul Kitab, what did he say when you argue with them? He said bil hikmah wa maw'idatil hasana wajadilhum billati hiya ahsan. What did Allah Jalla say? When you argue with the people of the book, then let you argue with them with wisdom, putting things in its proper place, and let you argue with them with a beautiful exhortation, right? That you speak to them with the best of words. What did Allah Jalla wa Ala command Musa and Harun and his brother when they went to Pharaoh, who was oppressor? Okay? Say to him a word that is mild, lenient in speech.
And his people believed him to be a deity. They were worshiping him, and Allah still told him to go to Pharaoh and talk to him calmly and at peace and say a kind word to him that maybe he'll remember and come to the truth.
So you think about that when you start talking about studying the rudud of the Quran. Because if you want to study the rudud of the Quran, you're going to see how Allah Jalla wa Ala dealt with the people. There's a beautiful ayat in the Quran where Allah Jalla wa Ala says in Surah An'am, do not, la tasubbu. Do not insult those who they invoke on other than Allah. For in turn, they will insult Allah. Allahu Akbar. Allah told the Muslims, do not insult. Meaning what? Don't talk bad about their alihah. Don't talk bad about their beliefs. Okay? Yes, we can refute the shirk of it,
yeah,
but we don't have to talk bad about it. You just never know who's listening to you.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah al-Azim. That ends what the brother said. I mean, with Sheikh Muhammad Bazmoor, may Allah reward him for that. And we have one more thing for y'all tonight before we let y'all go. And this is very important, inshallah, because this is from the Sheikh. We asked the other question the other night, if you remember, about Shahr Sunnah. He was one of the 7 or one of the 8 scholars that we asked about teaching the lay people Shahr Sunnah. Well, we asked 8 scholars, only 2 responded.
Well, alhamdulillah, before we want to say something, want to bring out, Barakallahu Feek, our brother Hassan Mali, may Allah reward him, when he called Sheikh Obeid, asked Sheikh Obeid the question, Sheikh Obeid answered it. First of all, it wasn't the whole question that we asked, but we're going to move on from that. But that did show us, it showed us that he didn't have permission beforehand. That he got permission, he called because he didn't have permission before then. That's the first thing. The fact that we said he didn't have permission, he didn't have permission because he called Sheikh Obeid then, and then Sheikh Obeid told him it's okay to teach it. So he didn't have permission when we said he didn't have permission. The second thing is he didn't call Sheikh Muhammad ibn Hadi. Why is that?
Well, that's not what I really wanted alhamdulillah, the brother brought that out. But the only thing I wanted to say with Somali, because this really ain't about Somali at the end of the day, but the brother brought that point out. One thing you gotta realize again, alhamdulillah, Sheikh Ubaid, he asked the scholar. But what we want to say about Sharh Sunnah and the brother, this is the same scholar who actually gave us that beautiful advice about Sharh Sunnah. And Sheikh Maher Qatani was also one of the other scholars who said you got to be specialized. And alhamdulillah, Sheikh Ubaid, the question was posed to him that there was a number of books that the brother went over first before teaching the book Sharh Sunnah. And I want you to understand something, brothers and sisters. When Somali asked the Sheikh this question, he mentioned that he taught the Latatul Usul. We're not saying that he didn't. He also mentioned that he taught Kitab al-Tawheed. We're not saying that he didn't. He taught Ha'iyah. We're not saying he didn't. Kashf Shubaha. We're not saying that he didn't. Right? But the point I want to make is that, one, we asked Somali in the question, in the video we did, we asked him to make sure that the people who started from day one in Latatul Usul are the same individuals that you're teaching now in Sharh Sunnah. Alright? And number two, again, Somali, who did you study the book with? That's very important now. Okay? That's very, very important that you, and we'll bring some kalam later on from the ulama about taking directly from books and so forth and so on, because you got to be careful. Sheikh Salih Fawzan is one of the leading ulama of the day who's very stern about that position of taking knowledge just from books. Tayyib, Sheikh Utaybi, and we don't have to mention his credentials, I believe we did that in the other video, but we're going to say that he said, in this article I speak only about what many of the Salafi brothers quietly think about, due to what they see from many people who nowadays ascribe to Salafiyyah. Whereas in reality, these same people are harming it due to their disgusting actions and shameful statements, to the extent that people insult pure Salafiyyah due to them, and people have turned away from Salafiyyah due to their harsh mannerisms, insults, and abuse. Okay? The name of this article that he did, this maqalat, is known as Irhamu Salafiyyah fa inna minkum munaffirin. Have mercy on Salafiyyah, have mercy on Salafiyyah, because there amongst you are those who chase or cause the people to flee away. Alright? I want you to pay attention now. Because many people, they always say, well, won't y'all go back to the scholars? Why you brothers won't go back to the scholars? Why won't you talk to the scholars? The scholars can deal with this issue. Is this not a scholar right here addressing this issue? I didn't even finish. Listen what he's going to say. He said, yes, amongst the Salafis today are those who cause the people to flee and test the people in their religion. They harm the Salafi manhaj due to their disgusting statements and strange actions, due to their oppression and ignorance. In fact, due to their detested Hizbiyah. I want to say this again. Let's go back. Due to their detested Hizbiyah for individuals and personalities. Brothers and sisters, I'm not saying that brothers are upon Hizbiyah. I'm not saying that brothers are Hizb. But I'm going to tell you one thing. When you hear people making statements that Sheikh so-and-so is a minhaj, and whoever does not, whoever goes against him is not Salafi,
that's characteristic of Hizbiyah.
that is a main characteristic of Hizbiyah. That's making a legion based on a personality and making dissociation based on that personality. Very important. Muhim. Tayyib. He says, continue, he said, due to their criticizing people who win, the same matter is found in who they love, they do not criticize. Brothers and sisters, Sheikh Abdur Rahman Ibn Sa'di, he made a beautiful statement. He said that there is no one on the face of this earth except that he have criticizers. He have people that speak about them. And I want to mention this, and I want to mention this soft. This is not an attack against any of the scholars. But brothers and sisters, Sheikh Rabi' Ibn Makri, Hafidhullah, and may Allah Jalla preserve his health.
Ameen.
And we heard that his illness is not that severe. And may Allah Jalla give him a speedy recovery.
The king also took him to a hospital for personal care.
So we want to say this, and we don't want to say this because this is not speaking ill of Sheikh Rabi'. And no way, this is not our station or our status. But there is no scholar, brothers and sisters, except that there are other people that criticize them. There is many scholars from amongst the scholars of today that criticize Sheikh Rabi'. And that's just the truth. If you can read Arabic, you will understand it. There are many. We're not saying whether or not their criticism is is legit. We're not saying it's not legit. We're not saying that they have reasons why, but that is scholars dealing with scholars. Okay? So when our brothers make it seem as if that their particular mashaykh that they keep quoting and the names they keep quoting, that we have to return back to them in matters of minhaj and things like this, they have to be fair now. What are other scholars saying about those scholars that you keep calling everybody and restricting everybody to? You have to be fair. Is it any legitimate argument? Is all those scholars haters? Is all those scholars working with modern principles? Is all those scholars in agreements with Fali Harbi? Is all those scholars in agreement with these principles? You got to be fair. It's impossible, number one, to have 20 or 30 different people speaking about you from different angles and then to say that all of them is only doing this because they're working with principles of so-and-so.
Well, and also the hypocrisy is that you don't apply the same principle to those scholars, because if they're going to speak about the sheikh, then you have to remove them from Salafi just like you do anybody else.
And that's the point I wanted to get to. Here, he said, due to their criticizing people who, when the same matter is found in those whom they love, they do not criticize. They do not criticize. Be careful of that. They harm the Salafi minhaj by propping up peoples as measures of association and dissociation and love and hatred, to the extent that due to a person's closeness to them, they are given a certified pass to Salafiyyah. If you find a person loving Amjad Rafiq, Abu Khadija, Abu Hassan Malik, Hassan Somali, know that he's a people who love the people of Sunnah.
Anwar Wright statement.
This is Anwar Wright statement. If you find a person loving them, listen to what the Sheikh is saying. Due to closeness or affection that you have for someone that they agree with, this is what happened. Okay? Now, alhamdulillah, we haven't made that statement about Mufti Munir.
No.
We haven't made that statement about Sheikh Tahir Wyatt.
No.
We haven't made that statement about Ali Davis.
Because we don't make wala al-bara, we don't make allegiance, dissociation upon them. They could be wrong, they could be right. And if they're wrong, we don't agree. If they're right, we agree.
And if they're wrong and if we have the ability to advise them, we will advise them.
And on top of that, if somebody doesn't like them, doesn't want to take from them, we don't take them out of Salafiyyah for not wanting to take from none of those brothers or be around those brothers.
Nor do we make our position binding that you have to take it.
Exactly.
Again, he goes on. He go hard. He said, these people who they have propped up are not those whom the imams of the deen rely upon. Neither are they themselves from the major well-known imams. It can almost be said that this is the detested Hizbiyah
and the cloak of Salafiyyah.
It's not my words. This Sheikh Utaybi. This Sheikh Utaybi.
So when you say doubts, then say you gotta say this the Sheikh coming with doubts. Don't say us.
It's not my words.
Don't say we coming with doubts.
Matter of fact, brothers and sisters, since we started the videos, have it been our words? He goes on. He said, yes, there is no flattery in the deen, nor is there any ambiguity in explaining the path of the believers. We may as well bid farewell to Salafiyyah if we do not strive in our collective best to rectify Salafiyyah. You hear this? If we do not strive in our collective, meaning what? Together, meaning being unified and rectifying Salafiyyah. Those brothers aren't qualified. They can scarcely rob a sentence. They can scarcely read Arabic. They can scarcely, they're unknown. They're causing more fitna. No, we are trying to get on this wagon here, rectifying the understanding of Salafiyyah, the principles of Salafiyyah, so that the people don't run away from it, so that the people don't speak ill of it, that the people understand and accept it. This is what we're trying to do. Tayyib. He goes on. He says, and return those ignoramus to the garden of knowledge and manners. Cultivate them upon loving goodness for people, politeness in speaking, respecting the scholars, understanding fiqh of priorities, attaching the importance to the situation of the ummah. The importance of the situation to the ummah. Now, not to say that we are defending Munir here now, but he does have a point. Worrying about social ills is about the situation of the ummah. Okay? Worrying about the plight of your people is a part of what? Sticking to the situation of the ummah. Okay? Worrying about Muslims that's over there, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aid them and allow them. Exactly, in Burma. And Burma. Those Muslims that are being persecuted right now, they're being tested the worst way. May Allah Jalla wa Ala make them firm. May Allah make them straight. All the Muslims everywhere, we ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to what? Strengthen them. right? Return it to the deen and aid them.
I mean,
Because we are concerned about all of their conditions. That's in a general sense. But in a more specific sense, we are more concerned with the people here.
exactly.
Because that's a right upon us.
That's a right, and they have a right upon us. They have a right. We're going to be asked about these people in Kensington and North Philly and Gotham and West Philly and South. We're going to be asked about their condition on Yom Kippur.
Attaching them to the gatherings of the scholars and attaching importance to the books of the well-known imams and the statements and belief. Not the 3 scholars, not the 4 scholars, not the 5 scholars. No, attaching them to the scholars. Okay? No matter wherever they may be. If there are scholars upon the sunnah and called to the sunnah and known for having strength and being strong in implementation and known to being trustworthy in their knowledge and disseminating it, we call to them, akhi.
Well, actually, I read a statement where it said you're going to be asked about Salafi pub in your grave. Think about that. Look at the extremism, the ghulu.
Have mercy upon Salafiyyah. Look what the Sheikh said next. He said, have mercy upon Salafiyyah. Hamzah, Abdur, Razaaq, have mercy upon Salafiyyah. Hamza, have mercy upon Salafiyyah. Salafiyyah is not only jarh,
Wa
ta'deel,
or finding pitfalls, investigating mistakes,
and appointing ignorant youth to these responsibilities. There's no one from amongst the du'at, and even if they want to use the word ma'rufeen, the well-known du'at, that are champions of jarh wa ta'deel. We just proved that. We had over 10 scholars told you that this is not their bab. This is not their field of expertise. This is not their specialty. So they shouldn't be speaking about jarh wa ta'deel in no way, shape, fashion, or form. There's no one. So here again, it's not restricted to that. Okay? Again, Salafiyyah is not being negligent about ilm and righteous actions. Brothers and sisters, I really have to mention this because sometimes what our brothers would do, they will always attack something but not address the main issue. Instead of talking about the way that we poorly read Arabic, the way that we look, the fact that, as what Hamza said, the fact that we only study for a certain amount of months, instead of doing that, won't you just address the legitimate questions? It got nothing to do with us. It got nothing to do with you per se, personally. It just got something to do with the legitimate questions. Who from amongst the brothers of the callers, from the students of knowledge, are upon innovation and that they are innovative? That's what we want to know. If you're not going to respond, don't take shots. Don't talk about us. Don't name call. Don't character assassinate. Don't say you're not looking at the videos, but then you comment about the videos. Don't say that you're not watching the videos when you're saying stuff about the videos. When you have took part of your lesson, your lecture, to address our videos. Amazing. Don't do that. If you're not going to respond and we are unknowns, then let us stay unknown. Don't say nothing.
Don't say nothing.
But if you're going to respond, but you're going to go around the bush, that make you look bad. Address the issues.
And also, you got to address the agreement of Muhammad bin Hadi, if it was dissolved or not. You haven't addressed that.
Address the issues. Calling to Allah in love and goodness. Being negligent about knowledge and righteous actions. I want to mention this point here. Murji'ah, brothers and sisters, I do not believe that there is no one from amongst us that ever accused the brothers of having or being a murji. And if they did, we do not agree with that assessment that they are murji'ah. We don't agree that our brother Abu Hassan Malik, Hassan Somali, and their friends are murji'ah. No. We don't agree with that. But what we do say is that amal and that statements as a part of actions, and that actions, okay, according to some, and there's a big argument about that, as a part of iman. Some say it's mukamalat, some it's not. That's not the argument here. But we do agree that anyone Salafiyyah will be affected by their character. Let's explain a little bit, not to get too technical. You cannot be an open sinner, brothers and sisters, and still at the same time saying, we're upon Salafiyyah to the extent that you don't have to worry about your open sinners, your open lewdness. No, you have to say, listen, I'm going to strive to follow the Salaf, and I'm going to try to stay away from open sins. Okay? What happened is, like Ibn al-Qayyim said, He said, I am amazed at an individual who say he believes in the hellfire and paradise, but he does actions that is in contradiction or contrary to what? Attaining or to stay away from the hellfire, or to what? To enter Jannah.
No.
He said, كَأَنَّ is as if, pay attention, he said is as if his actions is saying that he don't believe in paradise and the hellfire. Did he say there was a kafir?
No.
Do anyone understand from Ibn
No.
al-Qayyim that he's calling them a disbeliever?
No. He said it looks as.
It's as if.
No.
The same thing that Ali Davis was saying, the same thing that Shadeed Muhammad was saying, the same thing that many other brothers were saying. If you allow the common folk to believe that if they go to a bar, if they drink, if they party, if they commit zina, that they sell drugs, and they do all of these things, long as your Aqidah is straight, long as you take from the well-known callers, long as you know to say Sheikh Rabi'a name, long as you know to stay with these, stick to these books, you are okay.
I mean,
And this is a form as if you are.
Nah. He says the number of scholars of the Salaf is only known to Allah. Jah wa ta'dil, and clarifying the situation of men is a communal responsibility. Meaning it's a farda kafaya. That if some people are doing it, then the sins fall off everybody else. So when you try to come at brothers or say that this brother's not saying about Ahlul Bid'ah, this brother's not saying about, you are. So that means it's not obligatory upon me anymore, because it's enough for you guys already taking that helm and doing it already. So don't make me sinful for not doing it because you're doing it. I'm dealing with something else. Maybe I'm talking about Tawheed here, or maybe I'm dealing with social ills here, or maybe I'm dealing with the fact of trying to get a schools done here, or maybe I'm dealing with this part of Islam here. And you're the one standing up and say, oh, Ahmadiyya, or this one, or that one, or this or that one. If it's farda kafaya, that means that if enough people are doing it, then it's not an obligation on everybody else.
Tayyib, I want everyone, if you get a chance, go to Medina.com. That's MADEENAH.com. Why is I'm telling you to go here? Because I want you to look and see that their whole entire website is not on refuting Salafi publications. This is an exaggeration. Again, as Sheikh Muhammad Bazmoul mentioned, Gulu. It is not. Also, I want you to look at key factors that they have. And I'm not sticking up for no one. I'm just saying the truth in contrast to something else. I want you to look at the fact that they got a scholar overlooking their works. Sheikh Khalid Radad. That's one. Then I want you to go look at minhaj.com. Most of the majority of the time when you look on minhaj.com, you don't see any scholar overlooking or supervising that website. Two, you don't see the reference point most of the time when I'm talking about, meaning the reference points of or the name of the person who put the article together. In Medina.com, you're going to see the name of the person who gave the article. Also on Medina.com, you're going to see a chapter that say innovations. But like Sheikh Osama Otavia is saying here, it is farda kifaya. Not everybody got to refute Ahlul Bidah. So you don't use that as a taunting. You don't say Sheikh Tahir Wyatt, we're waiting. We've been waiting for decades, like our brother Hamza just said. We waited almost a decade for Sheikh Tahir Wyatt to refute the people. We don't say that.
But if you go on Medina.com, he's actually is the writer for the innovation section. He's from the writers who write these refutations. So how are you still waiting? It's already there. You're not waiting for 10 years. So go read it.
You can rewind the, inshallah ta'ala, you can rewind the actual tape. And inshallah ta'ala, you can listen to some of the stuff we played with Hamza Abdur Razaaq refuting that situation. We get ready to wrap it up. He said, have mercy upon Salafiyyah. All right? I got to finish this last point because he started it. He said, taqwa, piety, and sincere rights for the Muslims. They are the people who know what necessitates a jar. What ta'dil means. They are the people who can Islamically proportion the punishment by way of harshness, boycotting, and cutting off and rebuking. It seems, as brothers and sisters, that our beloved scholar here, Sheikh Osama Otavia, guess what he's saying? He's saying that Jarh wa Ta'dil, this is 11th scholar. If you didn't mention him.
No.
He's saying that Jarh wa Ta'dil is for who?
For the scholars. It's not for you.
It's for the scholars. I mean, I think this pretty much, I don't mean, we brought 11 scholars, probably brought more than that, but I think this is pretty much understood now that Jarh wa Ta'dil is for the scholars. Also, if I give you another statement of one of the other mashaykh, they said that I think that one of the leading fitna in this society is the misunderstanding of Jarh wa Ta'dil. the ignorance about its intricacies, its details. That is because it is people who are not from it that's entering to it. That's just bottom line. That's where it comes from. You're not specialized, stay away from it.
That's it.
That's it.
And we clearly know you're not specialized for it by all the name calling and the attacks and the verbal abuse. That verbal abuse, that shows that you're not qualified for it. The fact that you can't do it without slandering and attacking somebody's honor.
Brothers and sisters, all we want to know, Hamzah, Abdur, Razaaq, we can do 1,000,000 lectures, we can do 1,000,000 videos. That's not it. I'm just asking you, Hassan Somali, you address one question. And that one question you addressed was about the Sharh Sunnah. But that was after the fact. But may Allah reward you for still contacting the scholar. Okay? But on top of that, why didn't you feel the need to address our other questions? Is Muhammad Munir a Mubtadir? Is Shadeed Muhammad a Mubtadir? Is Tahir Wyatt a Mubtadir? Is Akil Ingram, Akil Walker a Mubtadir? Is Bilal Phillips? Is Abu Osama Mubtadir? Is Abdul Bari? Is Dawud Deeb? Is Abu Jamaiki? Abu Yusuf Khalifa? Is all of these brothers Mubtadir? If so, can you please present the evidence? Don't tell me they are Ikhwani. Okay?
Well, that's a hukum you're not supposed
because
to give.
Because if you say that they're Ikhwani, then you have placed them out the fold of Salafiyyah. That's not it. We want dalil. We want Qala Allah, Qala Rasulullah. We want the Qawa'id, the principles, or the Qa'idah, and we want the scholar who actually cleared them to be that. Do not bring Sheikh Ubaid, because Sheikh Ubaid's speech, Dala wal Mudil, that is not declaring them to be an innovator, meaning Shadeed Muhammad. Do not bring the speech of Sheikh Rabi' against Tahir Wyatt, because that's not declaring him to be an innovator. It's not declaring him to be. And do not bring the ambiguous speech. Just because a person is being warned against doesn't mean he's an innovator. Just because a person is being warned against doesn't mean he's an innovator. Well, if that was the case and you really believe that, then why are you treating them like that? Why are you going to the extent of boycotting and speaking to them about that? Because if you believe that just because someone been warned against, then you would just leave them alone.
Yeah.
You won't follow up their statements.
You sure do.
You won't follow up their lectures. You won't follow up their flyers. You won't follow up where they're giving conferences at. You won't do none of that. You will stay away from and have to tawakuf. But that isn't the case. What's your agenda, oh brothers? That's what we're saying here. We are unknowns asking you to give us a known, legitimate answer.
That's it. Because you placing the hukum that they're Ikhwani, according to the agreement that you signed, if it's not dissolved, you're not supposed to put those rulings on anybody. Again, you're breaking the agreement again.
Have mercy upon Salafiyyah. That's what we wanted to bring tonight, inshallah ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, inshallah ta'ala, please make dua for all of us. Make dua for ourselves. Make dua for our brothers. And ask Allahu Jalla wa Ala to allow us to really remove the jealousy and the bad illness that we might all have in our hearts towards one another. And do not, brothers and sisters, do not continue and stop and benefiting from the tulab all worldwide and from the tulab that's here in your locale. Just because so-and-so said don't listen to so-and-so. Just because so-and-so said don't deal with so-and-so. Do not take a statement. As Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he said one of the things of blind following is to take a statement without any proof. We do not take statements without any proof. Okay? Stick to that, inshallah.
Barakallahu feek. And also at the end, like I said, we got scholars who say that you shouldn't be teaching Sharh Sunnah. And so when you say that this is a doubt, be careful, because you don't want to say that these scholars have doubt who disagree with Sheikh Ubaid, Hassan Somali. I'm just advising you, you want to be careful with that type of wording, because these are 7 scholars that we asked, and a few of them have responded. All I'm saying, you shouldn't teach the book. And even if Sheikh Ubaid said that, that's an isolated statement of a scholar. We asked specific questions to scholars. They gave real detailed answers back why you shouldn't teach it. So you can't take one general question that you asked over 7 specific questions, and a few of them have responded, all of them are negative, saying you shouldn't teach it. So be very careful about saying there's a doubt, because you might be going back saying those scholars have doubts. So be careful with that. Barakallahu feek.
And also, inshallah ta'ala, brothers and sisters, who do you believe? You believe the scholars, or you just believe one brother that's teaching that book? If you know that you're not on that level yourself, I advise you not to even, go delve into that book yourself.
Yeah.
Don't delve into the book. Listen to what the scholars are saying. The book does definitely have some errors in it, and only the scholars can point it out, inshallah ta'ala. And just stick with the regular books, man. We're just trying to get the latitude, so we're trying to get those books.
Kitab
If you
al-Tawheed.
can, if you got a knack for memorizing Quran, I say start there.
Nah.
Start with some Arabic, learning the Arabic language. This is one of the ways to get rid of following anybody and putting our hands and putting our deen, so to speak, in the people's hands, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah khair. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Fiqh barakallah.